Hey students, we're learning about lesson 6.4 today. It is on absolute value. I hope that you took a moment in yesterday's Schoology in the little lesson to watch this video, the Schmoop video on absolute value. If you did not watch that yet, take a moment, pause here, go back to yesterday's lesson and watch this. This little video is only 2.5 minutes long, and it's going to kind of set you up for what we're going to be talking about today. So pause if you haven't watched this and go back and watch the video and then come back to this. All right, so to begin with, let's go over your bell work. So on number 1, identify if the question is statistical or non-statistical. Now this is something that we have not even talked about yet. We're not going to talk about this until next unit. So let's talk about statistical and non-statistical questions. How many cars are in the parking lot? Is that a statistical question? Or how old are the dogs that live on this street? I'm just going to give you the answers to these, and then we are going to talk about this later on. This is a no, and this is a yes. And right now, I don't care. We're not going to go over it because I don't want to get into all the ins and outs of statistical questions. I just want you to write that down because we haven't talked about it yet. Number 2 is percentage, and we have not really even talked about this, but I'm going to walk you through this question. It's somewhat like other questions that we've done before. So 27 is 30% of what? Now, I always teach this. This is, and this is of on the bottom. Is part of is whole. And then percent is over here. So I have 30%, so it goes here. 27 is, well, 27 is the part, and we are looking for this. And when we don't know what something is, we call it an x. So we're going to go 30 times x is 30x equals 100 times 27 is 2,700. Now we're going to use a calculator and go 2,700 divided by 30. And that gives us, and really what we're doing is algebra here. We divide by 30 on both sides. That turns that into 1x, which is x. And 27 divided by 30 is 90. So if we have 30, or 27 over 90, that is 30%. Okay, so moving on to the next question. It says, draw the net for this figure. Okay, well, we're going to have 3 long rectangles, and whichever way you want to orient this on your paper. So we have these rectangles that, and again, these rectangles should be the same because it's an equilateral triangle, but, you know, writing on this pad is kind of hard. And then you're going to have, it doesn't matter, you're going to have some equilateral triangles on that. So there's your bell work for today. Get that written in, and let's move on. All right, I filled out your notes for you so you can kind of see these. On absolute value, guys, we are saying how far away is something from 0. So on this one, -4. How far away is it from 0? Well, -4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So the answer, or the way you look at that is it's 4. It's a positive 4. And then -5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots away from 0. So whenever you see absolute value, you're asking yourself, how far away is this number from 0? Now, on a couple of these, you know, I'm looking at the first row there, and we're okay. Those seem pretty basic and simple. We can, however, run into this situation where there's a negative on the outside of the absolute value. So we have to always do order of operations because this is a grouping, believe it or not. Those little lines is a grouping, so we do it first. -8 is how far away from 0? It is 8 away from 0. And then there's a negative on the outside, so that negative stays with that number, so it's -8. So looking at the other one that we're comparing it to, the -7, well, how far away is -7 from 0? 7. And we can see that -8 is further away from 0 than 7. 7 is bigger than -8. So that's how we did that second row there. the third row, we're just putting numbers. We're using that idea of absolute value, where we've got absolute value of negative 25 is 25, negative 17, that'd be 17, negative 32. Well, there's no absolute value, so the negative stays there. And then the negative 46, the absolute value would be 46, and then there's a negative on the outside that we just bring up, so it stays negative. Now we're going to put them in order from least to greatest, and there you go. And then we can do that with decimals, same way, and see how that works. And then also with fractions. So there are your notes. If you need a moment to pause this so you can write things in, go ahead and do that. Let's move on. All right, we have a little activity that we're going to do that has to do with absolute value in class. So we're going to be actually working at your tables, working with some of these absolute values to practice today. So a little bit out of the ordinary. If you're watching this from home and you're doing your assignment from home, you can skip that activity and go on to your assignment. All right, just so we are on the same page, we're going to go over a couple of things on the assignment so you can feel successful. A couple of things I want to show on here before we get going is we've included a number line that runs vertical here to help you out if you need it. And sometimes you do need that to help you out. So here we go. Let's take a look at number 1. And it says, use the vertical number line on the right to graph the location of each object, then tell which object is farther from sea level. So we're going to say sea level is right here, guys. 0 is like, if I was going to draw a picture, the ocean waves would be right there. Okay? So our manatee is negative 2 meters. So this is my manatee. And I'm not going to even attempt to draw a manatee. We're just going to write an M for a manatee. Our flounder is down here. So which one is farther from sea level? Well, our flounder is the furthest away. So that would be the answer to this one, would be flounder. Isn't that a weird name for a fish? I wonder who came up with it. It just seems weird to me. Was the fish like flopping around, floundering in the ocean, and that sailor went, hey, there's a flounder. I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at number 3 now. It says, find the absolute value of negative 9. So what we're going to do on this one is, remember, whenever I see absolute value, we are saying to ourselves, how far away from 0 is this number? And negative 9 is 9 away from 0. So there's my answer. Number 9, I will go over. Yeah, I'll go over number 9 with you. So again, if we have a negative on the outside of an absolute value, let's focus on what's in the absolute value first. So there's our grouping. This is 125, and then we bring the negative out. So our answer is negative 125. Okay, let's look at number 11. No, I'll do 12. Okay, so this one, the absolute value of 9 is 9, and the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. So these are equal. Remember on fractions, just a reminder that you can change these into decimals by doing division. 1 divided by 6, and then put the negative back with it. And then the absolute value, so that negative is going to disappear, right? And then a half. So you're comparing those. Then just like in the notes, we're going to order these from least to greatest. So remember, the trick is to figure it out. So I'll give you a hint on a couple of these. So I'm going to come to negative 13, and I'm going to go, you know what? That's really the absolute value of negative 13, which is 13. So I'll take care of that one. Those ones stay. This one becomes a 7, and the other ones are all what they are. Because they're just, they're not the absolute value. Then we list them in order from least to greatest. So, to kind of help you out, I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do a few. This right here would be our furthest away from 0. So negative 12, in the negative direction, because we do have some others here. So negative 12, Then we got -9, and then I think you guys can handle the rest. So I took care of those for you. So you can do the rest of those. Number 16, I want you to do. Number 17, I want everybody to just do this. Bonus. This is not a required question. We are going to talk about it, but it is a bonus. So you're welcome to try that one out if you would like to. You get some extra credit on this one if you can get it right. So what I'll do on the assignment is make it worth 10 points, but there's some extra credit of, let's say, 2 extra points. So you can actually get 12 out of 10, which is like 103% on this assignment. So give that a try if you feel like you want to have kind of an extra challenge. Other than that, good luck. If you need help, ask your teacher.